presentation, and that way that'll be the minutes and notes for our meeting. Um, Message from Louis Panzer, our executive director. And just a little bit of background, some of you may be familiar with this and some of you may not. So North Carolina 811 is a nonprofit agency. We are funded by our members. So anyone who has underground utilities that are required to be marked prior to excavation helps to fund North Carolina 811. So you gentlemen are part of the reason that I have a job and that I am able to work from my couch this morning. So thank you. I like having a roof over my head. More importantly, I like being able to say, please go home to your family or to your loved ones, or if nothing else, go home to your pup at the end of the day. Spring feels like it has sprung, although for the last day or two, we may have been fooled. There has been a positive response reminder added to emails back to excavators that per state statute, excavators must check electronic response prior to excavation. They have to check that positive response. In the same vein, utilities are required to add positive response to let that excavator know, hey, there's nothing in the way, or we've marked what's there, or you can't excavate, we've got to be on site, whatever the reason may be. So the next thing that we're working on is assessing the reason for no-call damages. Over the past several years, one thing that we've really hit hard is update tickets, making sure that you're not updating a locate request where the work's already been completed or where you're not actually even ready to begin the work. As you know, those locate requests are paid for by the utility. So we like to remind everyone, if that work's not ready, if you haven't even gotten permits to do that work, or if that work's been completed for 6 months, there's no reason to update those locate requests to keep costing that utility time and money to get it marked. If that work's done, when they could actually be somewhere else being productive. So we're working on no call damages. Why didn't someone call? And of all of the reasons that have been put out there so far, the very one at the top of the list is they didn't know about 811. No one has checked that yet. Everyone that has responded to this survey knew. They either said, I didn't think it was work I was going to do was deep enough. I didn't think there was anything around there. I didn't have time to wait. But those are a couple of the reasons that no one has waited and or didn't call for a marking request. CGA, the Common Ground Alliance, the best practice folks in the industry of excavation, had announced a goal of a 50% reduction in damages in 5 years. They said 50 in 5. They wanted to challenge stakeholders to try to reduce those damages. That's an exceptionally bold sort of goal considering the amount of work that's happening in the state. Um, is it possible? I don't know. That's going to require that, there's potholing and clearance that's maintained, that locating's done accurately and timely, that the mapping is correct. There's so many things that could happen. If you're doing boring work, if that boring machine goes in and it hits a rock and moves over a quarter of an inch and then hits a utility. There's so many things that can happen, but it's possibly doable. And then he said, as a reminder, stay safe and remember that technically winter isn't over yet. Well, technically, as the calendar says, it's spring, but we've seen those temperatures go up and down as always. I'm not ruling out snow until the pool opens, and then I'll say, okay, maybe. Time for new banners. If you're interested in having a banner, please let me know and I'll get one to you. So typically we keep the same artwork for 2 years. This is our second year with our artwork. It features Safety Sam. So this will be year number 2. Next year we'll have different artwork again, but we like to make sure if someone would like to have a banner, we'll bring it to you when we're in the area and drop it off. April is National Safe Digging Month, so it's right around the corner to have those banners up. Data for the state. Locate requests. This is one of the big reasons we're here. Locate requests for the state of North Carolina. Locate requests for the month of February were 209,813. Gentlemen, that is an increase of 13.3% over February of 2022. January, we saw a 20% increase. February, we saw a 16% increase over the prior year. And for February, we've seen a 13% increase. Locate requests for the entire year to date, are up as well. Let's just call that 17%. 418,801 requests. Last year they were at 358,000 and change. And I know David's tired of hearing me say this, but 10 years ago, in 2013, for the entire year, we had 1.2 million locate requests. 1.2. Here we are, the first 2 months of the year, really into the third month of the year, we're already over that 500,000. Last year, North Carolina 811 took over 2.5 million locate requests. In 10 years, that more than doubled. We are second in the nation in ticket volume only to the state of Texas. If you wonder why you're so busy, that's why. You are extremely busy. Speaking of, updates for the month of February, we're at 68,535. That is 32.8% of that ticket volume. When I see ticket volume at 68,535, 32.8%, that lets me know that there's a lot of work that's continuing. I know in the Hoke and Scotland area, there's a lot of Metronet. Just like I know in Union and Stanley, there's a lot of Piedmont Natural Gas. They're putting in a new transmission line. So I know that there's work that's continuing. Transmissions for the month. Transmissions were 1,157,238, a 14.4% increase in transmissions. Year-to-date transmissions were up 15.3%, 2,285,679. And as always, a reminder of the difference. A locate request is one thing, one ticket, one at a time. A transmission is how many utilities are notified about every single locate request. Right now, on average, for every single locate request that comes in, There are 5.4, I'm sorry, that went up, 5.5 utilities notified. So if I'm putting in a mailbox in front of my home and I call in a locate request, there's one request, 123 Main Street. There might be water, sewer, gas, fiber, and electric. There would be 5 transmissions for that one locate request, that one ticket. That's the difference between the two. Ticket volume for Hoke County, new tickets, that middle column, new tickets for Hoke County were up 24%, 23.8%, 552 new locate requests for Hoke. Total tickets include retransmits and updates. Total tickets for Hoke County were up 4.2%, 749 versus 719 in 2022. Updates went down 51%. That again says to me that you had a project in Hoke County that was ongoing that's been completed. Average locates per day for Hoke County, 37 average locates per day. For Scotland County, new tickets actually went down 4%, 191. Last year, 199 in new tickets, and total tickets went down 0.9%. Total tickets at 319, last year 322. Apologies, a little commercial break there. Average locates per day for Scotland County, 16. And you can see that even with the decrease in new tickets and total tickets, 3 hours on the far left went down. Really, that number is a little misleading. It went from 5 to 2. Cancellations, again, a little misleading. It went from 1 to 4. Retransmits went down by 2. Updates went up just a little bit, 110 to 117. Average locates per day for Scotland County, again, 16. Ticket volume, and this is year to date. New tickets for Hoke County, 1,185 new requests, a 26.2% increase in locate requests. Total tickets for Hoke are up 12.4%, 1,558 locate requests. Last year, 1,386. And you can see those 3 hours had a chunk. Again, it's a little misleading from 5 to 58. That's still a little bit of an increase there. Cancellations, 16 to 18. Retransmits from 11 to 27. Now here's the updates. Everything else has gone up. Updates have turned the other direction from 415 to 270. So actually a 35% decrease in those update tickets, which again is not a bad thing if that work's completed, or if you're waiting for material, or if you haven't even gotten the permits to do that work yet. You definitely don't want to be calling in those locates. But once you get everything active, definitely want to keep those updated to make sure that you're covered while you're still doing your excavation work. And for Scotland County, new tickets are down 9.5% from 423 to 383. Interestingly enough, total tickets are up 10%, 673. Updates are up 72% from 156 to 269. That says to me, Tammy, there's a project that's going on that's continuing in Scotland County. Ticket distribution for Hoke County, most of that work in Rayford, 495 of those 749. Antioch with 130. But I left those one lines out, the Pine Hill, Montrose, McCain, just to show you that that work is continuing in other places around the county. For Scotland County, again, Big Guy, Laurinburg, 194. Wagram, 38. Laurel Hill, 54. And Maxton, 12. Damage events reported. North Carolina law requires that if there's a damage, it is reported to the utility and also to North Carolina 811. I'm finding, folks, that I'm having to remind excavators that if there is a release of product, they need to call emergency services first. They need to call 911 first to make sure that they're protecting themselves and the community at large. You don't want to have a gas leak or, some sort of big water leak where you may have to do a boil water, or an electrical leak. We want to make sure that we're protecting the community at large. So definitely notify your emergency services first, and then the affected utility and North Carolina 811. For damage events reported for the month, we had one damage reported in Hoke County. This damage data includes damages that are reported to us that are also reported to CGA, again, the Common Ground Alliance, the folks that do best practices. Some of these entities report monthly, some report quarterly, and some report annually. So this is just kind of a snapshot right at that moment in time. I had the Mecklenburg UCC meeting yesterday. David very kindly came as co-chair and presented that. Mecklenburg had 142 damages to report, and I believe that Piedmont Natural Gas had 49 damages themselves. So it happens, and we just want to make sure that those do get reported. All right.
Tammy, and
Yes,
remember
sir.
there were two reported while we were in that room.
Oh, you know what? You're exactly right. Thank you. As we were sitting there in the meeting, there were two damages reported. Do you remember who they were, David? I don't remember. Was one of them
Both of them were
P
P&G.
P&G? Okay,
Yep.
so folks, both of them were Piedmont while we were sitting in the room in our utility protection meeting. This is just a reminder, if you, and I know I had somebody from Scotland County, a reminder that if a contractor is doing some work, if you get a homeowner who's placing a locate request, kind of make sure that they're not doing this for the contractor or the excavator. If the homeowner is placing a locate request, that locate request is going to protect the homeowner who's doing work. It is not going to protect a professional excavator or a contractor who's coming out to do work. I know that we see from time to time more unscrupulous contractors or excavators. They'll tell the homeowner, hey, make sure you call 811 to get these utilities marked, because they know if there's a damage, that damage is going to fall back against that homeowner. Unfortunately, what they don't realize is that excavator is now doing work without a locate request. And if there's a damage, then it very well come back and bite that contractor in the behind. Um, The homeowner doesn't know the difference typically, but the law says that the person who is actively going to be doing excavation is the person who needs to get the locate request. Now, if the homeowner feels like they want to take that responsibility and add that excavator as a subcontractor or as the person doing the work, then by all means. But I just want that homeowner to realize if that's the case, they're taking financial responsibility. The next North Carolina Underground Prevention Damage Review Board meeting is Tuesday, April the 18th at 10 a.m. That'll be at the North Carolina 811 Event Center in Greensboro. Those meetings have now become open to the public again. We had been, we had seen a close because of COVID, but those meetings are open now to a galley again. Apologies. The next North Carolina, South Carolina State UCC conference. So every year, North Carolina and South Carolina get together and hold a joint conference. This year, that's going to be held in Cherokee, North Carolina at Harrah's Cherokee in the Harrah's Cherokee Tower. That's a location that's going to hold vendors. It's going to hold all attendees. As of yesterday, there were 206 folks who were signed up to attend, 26 vendors. They do offer a game of golf that first Wednesday on the 3rd. They had folks signed up for golf. Registration is $110 for this event. I'm sorry, that's not true. I think it's $125. Uh, Rooms were 110 plus whatever fees and taxes, travel charges that were non-negotiable from Harrah's. Those were 110, and I think those ended up being right around with those travel fees and taxes. Rooms ended up being roughly 150 a night, which even at that is a bargain considering that Friday night those rooms go back to being about $500 per night. The next state UCC is July the 11th. That will be at 1801 Trinity Church Road in Concord, and this will come out again on the next UCC meeting. Just throwing it out there. The next UCC for North Carolina will be in Concord, July the 11th at 10 o'clock. LRPC has already met. They met on last Wednesday. So if any of you happen to be in the Charlotte area Friday night, North Carolina 811, along with our sponsor, Piedmont Natural Gas, are going to do an 811 takeover night at the Charlotte Checkers. Safety Sam will be there to ring the cowbell to start the match and meet the kids in celebration. But we're going to be out there. I live in Charlotte, so I'm going to be out there. We'll be out with a booth set up, handing out educational material and some swag to attendees. Did this last year, first time I'd ever been to a hockey game, and I have to tell you, it was so much fun. Actually went last night with my husband as part of a work event. It was a great date night to be able to go out and to be able to talk to some folks in the industry. But Friday night we'll actually be doing a takeover, handing out swag, talking to folks. Just a great way to get out to talk to the public. David, I'm going to ask for your expertise. I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday and you and I were doing joint tasks, but I know that typically a professional excavator, someone who knows better, In the damage realm, more damages happen from professionals than with homeowners. The professionals know better and still cause more damages than a homeowner does. I cannot remember the number. I wanted to say 10 to 1 or 100 to 1. Those damages happen more often by the professional excavator. If you think about that, please let me know. But we do anything to get out to talk to homeowners, anything we can do to get out and talk to people. So the North Carolina 811 treasure hunt is happening right now. And as residents of North Carolina, you are able to go out. This little contest is going to ask you a couple of questions. And if your name gets picked, that's $300 in your back pocket. That's a tank of gas. That's a Happy Meal or two, or maybe even a night at the beach. I know last year there was a young man from Piedmont Natural Gas who actually won this contest, and he was thrilled. One of my coworkers and I were in Wilmington. We were set up for the Piedmont Natural Gas Rodeo, and he came up to our tent and he told me, he said, I did this little contest, and he said, I always wondered, did anyone ever really win these contests? And he said, lo and behold, he was picked and he won the contest, and he could not have been more excited. He brought his friends over to talk to them and tell them to take the little treasure hunt. It's a couple of videos. You answer a couple of questions and your name goes in the drawing. It's worth 15 minutes of your time. Again, a couple tanks of gas, date night at McDonald's. I'm kidding, wherever. But at, a really nice meal or two. I'm not eligible to win. Otherwise, I promise you my name would be in that bucket. But I did send it to my family that lives here in the state. For North Carolina 811 and NCUCC events, you can find that information on your North Carolina 811 calendar or on the North Carolina 811 app. That app is a free download for Apple and Android users. Very handy, particularly if you're in the field, you see somebody doing excavation work, you don't know who it is, you don't see flags. You can actually hit near ticket and see if these folks actually have a valid locate request to be doing work near you. Again, that 40th annual joint North Carolina, South Carolina UCC conference, May 3rd through the 5th at Harris Cherokee. And you can see this is just a snapshot of years past. Vendors will be out there. They are offering locate training. I know they have closed that locate training section out because they have 32 people signed up. But you definitely could go on a little waiting list if necessary to say, hey, if somebody drops out, I definitely am interested in doing this. I will say that yesterday I found out that they do have someone from Homeland Security signed up to talk about grid safety. You folks know there was the shooting at the Duke facility in Moore County. I believe there was also one in Randolph. There was one in Puyallup, Washington. The only reason I know that is my sister lives in Puyallup. But they're going to talk about grid safety and protecting those utilities from domestic terrorism. That's a sad thing that we have to do that, but it happens. That's your education team. You'll see some of those faces out and about, and that is your presentation for the month of March. I'm going to stop sharing this presentation and go back to my regular screen and just kind of start around the room and the virtual room here and see if anyone has anything they'd like to share. Mr. Milligan, you're the first up on that list there. Is there anything that you would like to share that's happening in your organization right now? And I was going to say, if you're like me, you either can't find the unmute button or
I got it.
you're double tasking.
Yeah, I got it. No, well, we have a lot going on now here in Weinberg and Scotland County, and we got a lot of projects coming. We got several facilities getting ready to be built on Main Street, so it's real active right now, so that's a good thing.
I'm down for job security.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, if there's ever anything I can bring you folks to hand out, color code cards to hand out to homeowners or brochures that remind them, hey, you do need to have these utilities located. Anything that I can get to you, please let me know and I'll make sure to get it to you.
Yeah, if you can send me some of that, I'll be glad to put it out in our lobby, and even one of those posters or banners, I'll be glad to set it out in the lobby if you'll send it to.
I got you covered.
All right, thank you.
It's all in the name of making sure people go home safe at the end of the day.
That's right.
Thank you. I
All right, thank
appreciate
you
it.
for all you do.
Thank you. Kevin Autry, anything that you would like to share?
I'm a new supervisor, new field supervisor to the Hoke County, Moore County, Montgomery County area. What I have noticed, I come from being a locator, got promoted up to being a field supervisor. We have a lot of work going on in Hoke County at the moment with looks like a charter overbuild in the Antioch area, Ridge Springs, Hoke County side. So we're busy. Got a lot of projects. They've been going pretty strong for the past couple months. I think they're probably about to be tied up and about to be over with. So things are about to probably settle back down a little bit. But other than that, I mean, everything just seems to be good moving forward.
And you're with USIC, correct?
Yes, that's correct. USIC.
Well, congrats on the promotion. I'll try not to bother you too much.
You're fine. Feel free to reach out if anybody's on the call and you ever need anything in Hope County, Moore County, Montgomery County. I put my number up there. Don't hesitate to reach out, and whatever I can do to help you, I will.
Thank you so much. And same on this end, whatever. And this goes for everybody. Folks, let's be honest. If you didn't have those utilities or you didn't have somebody excavating, you wouldn't need me. You're part of the reason I have a job. And again, I appreciate that. I like having a roof over my head. I like knowing that I'm going to eat on the regular. So, if I can help you, if I can be of service, that's what I'm here for. Miss Laura Sterling. Good morning. Miss Laura, I know you unmuted yourself, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to put a face with a name on.
This is the face.
Well, thank you for all that you do. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you.
No, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you being there. I know you guys are wide open as well. Is there anything that you want to share? I know James is on here as well. Is there anything that you want to share with the group?
No, ma'am. What I have is one of my guys here, Mr. Alan Graham, and he had a situation that came up this past week, and I don't know if you want to share that with the group or not, but I think it's something that's worth talking about.
Awesome. Thank you, James.
Miss Tammy.
Hi, Miss Tammy.
Good morning, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hope you.
I am. Thank you, sir. What you have happening?
We had a situation where I heard you talking about a few minutes ago about professionals going out doing excavating. Um, one of the teams went out and digging and bored through our water main. They called the ticket in something like on the 3rd, and we didn't respond. What can you tell me? I'm trying to ask this right. Um, how am I protected? What's the law on that for them digging without locates?
Well,
Bend them.
if they did not call in a locate request and they bored into your line, then they're responsible for that damage. That's pretty simple. If they did not call in a locate request or did not enter a locate request. So North Carolina law says, obviously, you're required if you break the plane of the earth to call in a locate request. Now, there are always some exceptions. There's an exception for a homeowner in certain places. There's some agricultural exceptions, some, grave digging, that sort of thing. There are some exceptions. But if this was in an area where they knew that there were utility lines, then they're required to call in a request. That request is 3 full business days. So even if you call Monday morning at 9 o'clock, that request becomes live that night at midnight, which means that uh, Hoke County would have from midnight Monday, so all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and all day Thursday, basically up until Thursday night at midnight to get those lines marked. And then that excavator could begin work at 12:01 Friday morning, provided you got those lines marked. Now, if they get out there, if that excavator got out there and noticed evidence of something that wasn't marked or they saw something that was missed, then they're required to place what's called a 3-hour ticket. And that says to you as a utility operator, hey, I'm your excavator. I did my 3-day ticket. I got out here. I saw something that was missed. You've got 3 hours to get it marked now. They need to do that. The excavator needs to do that to do their due diligence, to give you the opportunity to make sure that you get it marked. We do see from time to time that there are small utilities that for some reason have not become a member of 811. Hoke County is a member. But there are some small folks out there who have not become members. If that were the case, let's say the town of Tammy did not join 811 for whatever reason, and an excavator was doing a job in the town of Tammy and bored through a utility line. Unfortunately, because I'm required as the town of Tammy to be a member, and for whatever reason I didn't become a member, then I, as the town of Tammy, would be responsible for eating that damage. I would have to make that repair at my cost. But if you've got someone in Hoke County that should have had a ticket and didn't, or had a ticket and let it expire, or dug before the 3 full business days were up, they're going to be responsible. It sounds like they would be responsible for that damage.
Okay, and the expiration date is what? 15 days out?
15 days out. So that locate request is good for 15 days, but keep in mind that that first 3 days is actually gone waiting for that locate to be done. So if I called today, I'd wait for my 3 days to be up. So then I would have 12 days to get my excavation done because I'm waiting that 3 full business days for that locate to be done.
Okay.
I hope I hadn't muddied it up too much.
Okay, this is my situation. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The company did call in a locate. I do have a locate number, but my guys, for some reason, did not respond. We did not get a 3-hour ticket upon their arrival to do their
Right.
work, and they damaged county property.
Right.
Who's responsible?
Here's the rub on that. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm not going to tell you what North Carolina 811 or what the Underground Damage Prevention Review Board would say. I'm going to tell you what Tammy would say. Tammy would say there's probably a little responsibility on both sides because it was not marked, even though they had requested it. I would find the county a little responsible, but I would also find the excavator partially responsible because they had evidence that there were utilities out there that weren't marked and they did not do their due diligence and request that 3-hour locate request. Now, again, that's just my personal view. That's not what I say is not what the views of North Carolina 811. I'm just going back and applying a little bit of common sense to that and saying that's how I would find it. If it comes down to it, you may say to the excavator, hey, you bored through our line. We have a $5,000 damage. We're asking you for $5,000 to pay for this. They could come back and say, well, it wasn't marked and we had a locate request. And then, of course, you're going to do a little back and forth and say, well, that's true. You had a locate request, but you didn't do a 3-hour ticket. So you eat 2,500, we'll eat 2,500 and call it a day.
Okay, if that ticket had expired upon them working, it's no good, right?
If that ticket was expired and then they worked out there anyway, then that's the same as digging without a locate request.
Okay.
Now, I got a question, Tammy.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm new to this. So where is all that information written at? Is there a link that you can get I can get to actually find all these rules?
You sure can. It would be, and I'm gonna go grab a link from the website and I'll post it in our chat section, but it's under the North Carolina law section, and I actually have excavation guides that I would gladly bring you, and all of that's in there, but it's also it's on the website. It's in your on your app. If you have that app, you can go out to the law section of the app and pull that up. Um, all of that's in there. But yeah, it's definitely on our website, the North Carolina 811 website. So if you go out to there, it's gonna, if you're on the front page of 811, it's gonna offer resources, apps and tools, education, social media, and links. And if you click on education, you just go down a couple and it says North Carolina laws. There's videos, there's obviously Pipes Plus, yard signage, our podcast, different campaigns. Right now we're in the treasure hunt and the National Safe Digging Month campaign. But yes, sir, all of that information is out there. And then if there's anywhere I can direct you from there, please let me know and I will get that information for you as well.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to throw out there?
No, ma'am. I'm good. I appreciate you though.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Well, Ms. Tammy, I guess, remember we talked about that one issue that we talked about before, the actual videos and possibly getting the PowerPoints and being able to show my guys, or you coming and doing it for us.
Yes, sir.
Can you work that through Ms. Laura?
Absolutely. Laura and I have been, bless her heart, she's been very patient with me. But anything that I can do, if you want me to do it in person or if you want to do it online, that is available. And she and I can definitely talk offline about how she wants to facilitate that. But I'm glad to offer that training in person. However you want to do it, whatever you feel like would be most beneficial, we'll make it work.
All righty, I thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll
Thank
call
you, ma'am. Wayne, anything that you did and I apologize, did I already grab you?
No, you haven't. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just, Kevin mentioned that we've already started doing some work in Hoke County. I know he probably wishes we were done, but we've got about 10 more projects that's going to be probably about 150 miles to do this year in that same general area where he's talking about. And this
Right.
is part of our Rural Development Opportunity Fund projects, government-funded projects that we're building in that area. The good part of that 150 miles, about half of it should be aerial, so there shouldn't be, underground work through there. And then near the end of the year and probably 6 months in the next year, we'll be over in Scotland County working pretty heavy.
Awesome. Listen, I get it. I get it. I know Kevin's wide open just like everybody else, but I'm here to tell you, I'm down for some job security. I'm glad that everybody's busy and building and continuing to work.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky. Not a lot of damages. Very few complaints from customers that we've gone past. I got a pretty good crew out there. Still, you're going to have that incident where you cut a water line or a phone line or something like that. And I put my number up there and email address. If my subcontractor, if my contractor doesn't respond properly, please feel free to give me a call. I'm going to know about it as soon as it happens, and 2 weeks down the road when they ain't got it fixed for you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Wayne. Really appreciate that. Glad that you've got a little job security on your end too.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks. And last but not least, Mr. Talbert, welcome back.
Hey, Tammy, how's it going?
Fantastic this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's the first UCC I came to and we had negative numbers. All of them's been, of course, Mecklenburg's huge, but, but introduce myself. I'm David Talbert. I work for Collier's Engineering Design. I'm contracted through the NCDOT. Tammy has heard this spiel. I don't know how many times. She could probably give it herself.
Twice.
Yeah, just twice. I'm contracted through the NCDOT to reach out to local utility companies, anybody that has utilities in the ground or in the air to receive shape files. I'm looking over at the STIP map right now, but receive shape files of your facilities. And what it does, it goes up to Raleigh, and the project managers, project development, they look at this layer. There are 600 to 800 layers in Project Atlas. Everything from cemeteries to water, you name it, it's in there as a layer. And what they do is they take those layers and decide whenever you're going to build a road or widen a road or whatever. Say, I know there's at least 2 water companies, it sounds like, or water departments here on this call, Scotland and Hoke. Am I correct, Tammy?
I think so. Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
It sounded like. And, what it can do for y'all, I feel sure y'all are probably 100% payback. But what they try to do is they're trying to use it to design not to impact utilities. So if they have a transmission line, they don't pay 1.5 million to replace a transmission tower. They'll try to avoid it, or transmission station or whatever. So, yeah, and what it does is it's built to save the taxpayers money, and the designers can design around it. I'm going to put my NCDOT hat on because I'm former NCDOT, and lots of times they just would design the road and say, move utilities. And what this project could do, what they would say, just move utilities, and you come back and say, it's going to take a year to move utilities. And that really throws a wrench into their dates. This could possibly speed up. That way we don't have those utilities to move, and they can get the roads built quicker. I'm willing to meet Tammy. There was a water company, I think Thomas was on here. You know, give me the banner. I'll drive the banner down to Thomas, and I feel sure I'll be seeing you probably in the next week or two at a meeting. Thomas, I'll sit down with you and go over the whole spiel. I'll put up whatever I got in Scotland County. I don't know how large your water system is. One thing that Randolph EMC told me is, hey, I don't want to give you the whole footprint, but could you just tell me where you're at? And I did the same thing for the city of Salisbury. They had one TIP, large TIP coming through their area, and they gave me just those shape files for that area. I mean, there might not be something never touch anything that's on the other end of the county. So, I'm here. I'll meet you. I'll do whatever it takes to to help you out. I mean, I'm looking at STIP map, the 401, it's post years. I feel sure y'all know about 211. That's in Scotland County. That 401 goes into Hoke County. There's some stuff down in Laurinburg. I can't get it to click up. It looks like it's post years. That was definitely post years on 401 also down going into South Carolina. But if y'all would just reach out to me, my name's in the chat, my emails, shoot me an email, and I'll do what I can. Or hopefully y'all can help me. That's the name of the game. I mean, and it'll help you out in the long run, especially if I had to pay for it up front. Like I said, I'm coming from a utility. I used to be a utility, and I always ask, why did you design the road here? Well, you could have avoided me. So that's what it's made for. Thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that. And I do want to tag on to one thing you said. You said, this is the one time that you've seen some numbers in the negative. And I know that we have been so conditioned as a people to think that anytime we see negative, we're just like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. Yeah. It is not always a bad thing. And I'm glad you said that, because that made me remember that downtick in update requests. That's a good thing. You don't want people updating tickets where the work's been done. Right. That downtick in 3-hour notices, that means your locator's getting out and being able to check stuff more timely, that people are doing what they're supposed to do. That those downticks aren't always a bad thing. So thank you for saying that. That's a good reminder to me.
Yeah, one thing, I think it was Hoke County with the water that got hit from the contract. My thought to that is the contractor doing the work didn't have all his tickets cleared, really. He didn't have the positive response back from everybody. That's my fault with that. That's just my cup of tea. He should have known he had that all those positive responses back. And that's my 2 cents worth in that. You know, if you guys are still on there from Hoke County, I'd fight tooth and nail. I sure would.
Yep. That is an excellent point. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Folks, this is pretty much your UCC meeting. What some great points there. Do this once a month. Typically, I'm doing 2 months virtual. I had talked to James about this a couple months ago, and we talked about doing some virtual and then a month in person and some virtual. I know that it's easier to do a virtual, so you're not having to travel, but I definitely don't mind doing an in person as well, so I can actually put a name with the face and has, have that relationship that really matters. So I will say that unless something changes, next meeting would be April 27th. And I will actually be out of town that day, um, headed on a little mini vacation with my very sweet husband. Um, unless you have any, unless you say no, I would say we would skip the month of April and come back in May, at the end of May. And if you're interested, I'll be happy to come to Hoke County and do an in-person meeting in May. But unless you say, oh, we've got to have an April meeting, I'll say we'll skip April and come back in May if that works for y'all. I'm gonna take that silence as an agreement.
Yes, ma'am, that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you, James.
Uh-huh.
Folks, I appreciate your time and your attention this morning. I know your time's valuable. I know everybody has plenty to keep them busy. I will get some information out to Kevin, to your organization. Anybody else that needs anything, please let me know. But otherwise, I will maybe plan to just see you again in May. Everybody, please stay safe. I really appreciate your time this morning. I appreciate you taking the time to join us virtually this morning. Have a safe day. Have a very happy Easter. And I will see you, if not before, I'll see you at the end of May. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, Tammy. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.